encourage you too, if you're at a computer, that you be logged in as well and kind of follow along with what she's doing, so you can see the same thing. I always say that, you know, practice is always the best teacher, or the best way to learn. So just kind of follow along with what she's doing. So the first thing that we often do or talk about is making sure everybody has access rights. And now that you are a, you know, what we call an IRIS super user, you have access rights to the finance/IRIS module in the software. IRIS super users are different from GME super users. An IRIS super user doesn't necessarily have to be a GME super user. A GME super user usually is like what we call level 6. And IRIS super users don't necessarily have to be a level 6. It's a whole different, you know, set of privileges, I guess you could say. So, Julie, if you go ahead and click on Finance up there in the dark blue menu bar. Oh, yeah, down there. And then underneath Setup there, kind of in the middle bottom, it says Other Configurations. We're going to be working out of this area mostly today. Go ahead. There's a bunch of tabs, like rotation definitions, assignment definitions, all those tabs there. There's one that says Access Rights. So go ahead and click on that. So this is where you have your access rights. This is where it's listed. And if you are an IRIS super user, you can grant those privileges to other IRIS super users. So if in the future you need to do that, this is where you're going to add them in. All you would have to do is click Add Access Rights, and it will pull up people's names. And then from there, you can just, you know, add those folks' names into this particular part of the software. Then they'll have access to IRIS. So I just want to show you where that comes from. One other thing too that they need in order to be an IRIS super user is they have to have an email address and a phone number in their demographic record, or their personnel record and demographics, in order to have that. They also need to have an administration work role assigned as well. So anybody that has that administration work role with a primary email address and a phone number can have IRIS access rights. All right. The next thing we need to look at is some of the framework of your institution. So we're going to hop over to the administration module in the dark blue menu bar. And we're going to click on Software Setup, which is right underneath there in the white bar, the last one. There you go. And this kind of looks like a file folder. So there's different panels or sections to this file folder. We're going to be looking in the global setup area. So the first thing we want to click on in that area is institutions locations. Okay. And then from there, there's two different tabs. There's the institution location tab, and then there's the sponsors tab. So go ahead and click on the sponsors tab. It's right there, kind of there you go. So these are the two sponsors that are listed for your institution. These are the people that you are going to create a cost report for. So are there any other provider sponsors that you are going to be sending a cost report to other than these?
Joseph, are we sending one to the medical college?
No. Let me unmute. No. Just for the Wisconsin Northern Central Consortium.
Yeah, I don't know why the medical college is in there.
Because they were originally the sponsor for Eau Claire
Okay.
prior to this.
Should we take it out?
No, never lose data if we don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If anything, you could probably archive the sponsor. Anytime you archive anything, and then I've said this to you guys before, never ever delete anything, always archive it. That way it'll put it in storage, it puts it behind the scenes, that way it won't be in the forefront. And any data that you have will be preserved and saved. You won't lose any data for that. So if you want to, you could archive that. If you go to, get to that page, you click on the little pencil on the Medical College of Wisconsin there. There should be a place or spot in here where you can actually archive it. Look at this, see, I'm gonna blow this up a little bit. So scroll down, see if there's a spot where it says archive.
I don't understand why UW isn't in there, because UW was their most recent sponsor before us. Maybe it is archived already.
Scroll back up again and see up there, there's like 3 little lines next to the drop down. Click on that. Oh, that takes you there.
It's not important. We can just leave it.
Yeah. I'll find notes on that, where to archive. That's not something I normally do on a day-to-day basis, archive sponsors. But let's go back to, institution locations, and then click on sponsors. So one thing that you'll need to do though, so if you're using, if you're only doing a cost report for WINC, you do need a provider number for it. So notice there's no provider number listed there. So you're going to have to find what that CMS provider number is. Check with your finance department people, or call or contact CMS, and they can give you that. So if there's, if you don't have a provider number there, it's not going to work. So you need to get that information in there. All right. And would WINC be the only sponsor or provider?
Yeah, and the short name isn't DFM. That looks like that's something held over from the old one. Because that stands for Department of Family.
You can change that. You can edit that.
So we are not, the hospitals have our CMS providers. We're a standalone GME consortium. So we have a ACGME number.
Right.
I don't know that we have a CMS provider number.
Because you would need a provider number, a CMS provider number, if you are claiming your residents.
The hospitals are claiming the residents.
Okay, so then you would need to have the hospital as a provider listed here. Are you providing cost report to the hospital?
Correct.
Okay, so then you would have to have them listed as well.
Even though it's a sponsors tab?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, any provider that you need to provide a cost report for, they need to be listed with a provider number.
Under sponsors?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so there's a subset of those that are listed on the institution page.
And go ahead and click on institution locations.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some listed there. Are all of these, like for example, Aspirus Divine Savior Healthcare, are they one of the people that you're creating a cost report
there's
for?
basically, right now there'll just be one or two hospitals. Sacred Heart.
Okay, so
Mhm.
go ahead, scroll down and find them.
Here.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. That's good.
I don't know. There's
Yeah,
no way for me to really click on that.
You can edit, the only thing you can do is click the pencil for the edit button.
Do what?
Do you see the little pencil? That will open that up for you to see that more specifically. Is that what you were asking?
Well, I just didn't know that. Do I need to do that for any reason? It didn't seem like I would.
No, because you said you weren't able to click on it.
Yeah, so there's nothing to do with it, right? Like there's
Right,
nothing.
yeah, it's just a listing, correct.
Okay.
You just need to make sure it's listed there. Any of these people that you're gonna create a cost report for, you need to make sure that they have a provider number.
Yeah, Sacred Heart has theirs listed in there.
Okay,
It's 520013, is
Mhm.
that it?
Yep,
Now, is that the same number that we could transfer over to the previous page?
yes.
Okay. And is there other hospitals for them?
There will be some time spent at St. Joseph's in Chippewa Falls, but I don't see them listed on here yet.
if they're not there, you would have to add them
There is a
to
St.
your
Joseph's
listing.
there. We wanna make sure that's Chippewa Falls. It doesn't have a location. There's a couple St. Joseph's.
Oh, yeah,
So
I see
those,
one St.
those would be the two that would be then needing to be created on the sponsors tab.
I only see one St. Joseph's. You see more than one?
No, but it doesn't say a location on it,
Okay.
and I know of a couple. I'm assuming it's Chippewa Falls, but we wanna make sure that that's the provider number for Chippewa
Yeah.
Falls.
yeah, exactly.
How do I find that out?
Click on the pencil, it'll show you the details of,
If they're in there, somebody put them in there. If
Yeah.
there's no address or whatnot, then you need to get a hold of CMS and find out and double check that number.
yeah, it doesn't give an address, so I don't know where that number came from. We would either that or have to contact someone at St. Joe's.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Because once again, any of this information that is in here, it doesn't come in from like CMS, it doesn't come in automatically. Somebody inputs the data. So whoever put this in here didn't put the address, so you would need to verify it and make sure it's the correct one.
I think Paula would know, Joseph.
Yes,
I'll ask her.
yeah, it might be in our affiliation agreement too.
Oh, sure. I can look on there.
Okay. The other thing too that we encourage is if you have rotations, block rotations outside of your institution that you can't claim, that you need to have a catch-all provider location.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to make sure that you have that listed as well. And CMS usually, the provider number usually that's like, 99999, to put that in there. So if there's any of those that you can't claim, it's a catch-all,
Mhm.
you can list that, when you go to, put that in the software.
What would be an example of that, do you know, Kathy?
Like I said, if you have a rotation that's outside your institution,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you have residents, the whole idea here is, who can claim those residents. So if they are on a rotation outside of your institution, are you claiming them? Is the other institution claiming them? Maybe you have, a rotation, or maybe you have residents coming to you from another institution. Who's claiming those? So the question
Mhm.
is, like I said, the main idea here is if you have, like I said, if you have a rotation outside of your institution that you cannot claim, then we recommend that you create something like that. Another example, let me see here, let me check. Bear with me. Yeah, that's what basically what, the whole idea is if they have like an elective rotation at another institution.
Mm-hmm. But if that institution has a provider number for CMS, but they're not eligible for reimbursement for the rotation, they would still be listed as is, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Okay, all right.
like I said, and the other thing they say here too, and I'm just kind of referring to my notes, you know, time that cannot be reimbursed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, can be assigned to the other provider. If there's like gaps, indicate time which is not included in the package for reimbursement. But if there's time during the year that is not reimbursable, then you want to use that other
Okay.
listing.
So we'd want to set that on the institution side, right? Not on the sponsor side.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep.
And then you want to give it a provider number.
Okay.
So, but we still have to set up 2 hospitals on the sponsor side?
Oh, yes, those that
Yeah,
are,
and yeah.
anybody we want to receive CMS funding for, we would need to set up on the sponsor side.
Okay. Let's see what else we want to look at. So that's the first thing you want to double check. The other thing we want to look at is go to administration. And click on software setup. And we're going to click on programs. So here's what the first thing that I noticed here. There is really only, 2 programs that you guys are using. The ones that have, you know, that says ZZZ do not use, that program was actually archived. But these, in this particular area, these programs that are listed here were not archived. So what I would recommend is like the Baraboo, the Family Medicine Madison, the Family Medicine Wausau, and your ex-rotating residents, that you go in and actually archive those. So that way it kind of gets, because you're not using them. So I would recommend going in and doing that, so that way you don't get confused. And it will, because this shows up in another spot. If you scroll down for this one here, Lily.
You see where I am? If I hit
Oh yes,
that,
that's exactly it. Yep.
I don't know how to get back to where I was.
Did you-
I hit it, but it didn't look like it did anything.
And oh wait,
This item cannot be
okay,
archived.
yeah, because there's active personnel attached to, so that listing of people there, if they are not active residents, and they're considered alumni, then you need to archive them. And then you can archive the program. So that might be on, you know, the list of your things to do between now and then.
I don't know how to do that. I can try to figure it out.
So what you maybe need to do is the ZZZ do not use program needs to be unarchived. Then you need to go in and archive these erroneous people, and then archive the program, and then go into here and then archive it again. Does that make? It sounds like sounds like it doesn't make sense, but it does.
So
Does Julie have privileges to do that? It looks.
She should.
Okay.
Well, you need to find this. So go to administration.
privileges.
Yeah, I know. Go to administration.
Okay.
Click on program. Here. Over here. We should be able to. Well, let's try this. There's a way, I have to figure out, there's a way to pull that up. Scroll up to, all right, see where name is, Julie, up there in the top right? Where it says Family Medicine Eau Claire, click on that. And click Include Archived. And then click on that drop down again. And go into ZZ Do Not Use.
Okay.
And then click Go. Here's where you can go in. Oh, it's only gives you that. You don't have privileges in there. You would need. We can give you privileges for that. You could maybe even give yourself privileges because you're a level 6. So click on ZZ Do Not Use. And go back to Family Medicine Eau Claire. Go. There you go. And then go to Personnel and Personnel Records. And find your name in the drop down. And then go down to Security and Privileges underneath your picture, or your picture would be. And then click New. Click Department. Oh, it only shows that. That's not what we want. I'm trying to get you privileges for that. Let me see if I can do it on my end. Let me look into that, how we can get that back up and working and give you privileges so that you can go in and make those changes. I can't say, I don't want to take up all the time on this, but let me add that to my list, my homework list. Let's see. AZZ, do not use. Yeah, those people should have been archived before the whole program was archived. So okay. All right. So let's go back to, we were at administration, software setup, and we were on programs. So I just want to, we'll work on getting these other ones archived. But in the meantime, Previa Health Family Medicine Eau Claire, Previa Health Family Medicine Augusta. Those are the 2 that are listed. If that has to change, or you need to change the name of that, I'm not sure if, are those the people, or because I know your program now is like, you know, it's still Family Medicine Eau Claire, but it's WINC, and it's not Previa, correct?
It is.
Okay,
Previa.
Okay. So then
And
those are the 2 that you would be using then. Go ahead.
There's 2 programs because every other year have 1 resident at that Augusta rural site.
Okay. Then that looks good. The only thing you need to make sure that's checked for that is there's that IRIS eligible column there. There has to be a checkbox there, or a check mark, so that it does pull in. And number two, the CMS code has to be correct too, which 1350 is for family medicine, so that looks good as well. So that's another thing we always double check. Otherwise, the information's not gonna pull in without that check mark. All right,
Okay.
that looks good. All right, let's move on, and talk about, so these IRIS reports looks at obviously this framework information, but it also looks at your personnel records, and it looks at the block schedule. So that's the next thing we're gonna have to look at to verify. So click on personnel in the dark blue menu bar, and click on personnel records. And then what you want to do, Julie, is where it says filter list, there's that little white tab. Click on that filter list tab. And let's filter work role as resident. And then click update list. So that way our drop down list there is only our residents. So what you need to look at here with regards to your residents is, first of all, their IRIS information, and that's kind of on the bottom right hand side of this demographics page. So there's that IRIS info link.
This one?
Yep, you can use that one too. Yep, that's another way to get to it. So go ahead and click on that. So this is all of their IRIS information. Why are you customized security
I don't-
for this? I don't like that.
I don't know, and this guy is an archived one.
Oh, that could be, okay. He's alumni, but he's not archived.
Or that's what I meant. He's alumni.
Yeah. Yeah, he needs, any of your alumni, if they're truly when was he, go back and click on demographics again. What's his training record look like? Oh yeah, he needs to be archived. Anytime they're alumni, they need to be archived. And you can actually set up your program to do that. So that way these people are not showing up like that. Let me see if you have it set up that way. He was other residents. Yeah, he just needs to be archived.
So do I hit archive record?
Yes. And continue. Okay, good. Go ahead and see where his name is. There's that little gold arrow between that and the filter list. There's a gold arrow.
Don't see it. Oh, I see it.
See where it says Alan? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's always hidden. So click, that takes you to your next person. So we know Owen Beck, he's definitely a resident. And so let's go ahead to IRIS information for him. See, it still shows customized security. All right. They may have that set up to be that way. Why is this?
Does it matter that I have level 5, it looks like?
It might be that. So you probably should just have 6s all the way across the board in your record, in your personnel record. Because you have like a combination.
Privileges.
No, go to,
Oh,
yeah. You can go to my personnel record. Over there on the right, in the white bar.
oh,
It makes it easier. And click on security and privileges. And click edit. And you just want to give yourself 6s. See, yeah, you should have, they should be have you set up that way.
for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that means
And you,
not letting me
So,
do it.
letting you do that?
No. It's not letting me do that.
Okay. I can't make those changes. Julie, are you like the GME person, or are there other GME people?
I don't know what you mean by that.
So, level 6 users, are there other level 6 users at your institution?
Probably Paula.
Okay.
That would be it, unless somebody else already has them. No?
No, I was looking at mine and I'm like 4 and 5s.
Let me reach out to Paula. What she needs to do is just give you level 6 across the board and get rid of all those other checks. So let me reach out to her and have her change that, because that's preventing you from doing some things. I don't know why they have it set up that way. It should just be 6 down the right and then nothing for everything else. Because if you have a level 6 for, like, say, global administration, or let's take a look at like block schedule. If you have a level 6 in block schedule, you don't need a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Level 6 covers everything. So let me reach out to her and have her change that, and
Okay.
that way we'll get you set for that. And that goes for, Danielle, and then Joseph, yours, depending on what you do, yours would probably, because you're the finance guy, right?
No.
No?
We are the finance people.
Okay, you all are the finance people.
Yes, we're doing this for the
So,
first
okay.
time, so,
Okay. So with that said, then, you don't need a 6 in like portfolio, or you don't need a 6 in, I'm trying to think what else, logger. So
does it hurt?
I'll get with,
Hurt to have
no,
it?
it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I mean, he can have 6 across the board, but, we always say less is best. So I'll let Paula make that determination, but I do need to let her know that, you need to have a level 6 in some of these things, like block schedules. You need a level 6 in personnel data. You need a level 6 in assignment schedules.
Probably duty
you need
hours.
Yes. So I'll get with her and tell her just to change that. And then
Okay.
all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that's crazy.
So
Don't need
once
that.
she changes mine, I should be able to change Danielle and Joseph's.
Yes, you got it.
Okay.
Yep. So let's go back up to, and scroll up and do personnel. Personnel records. And let's filter our list again. That is not a sticky filter, so you always have to, you go out and come back in, you have to refilter it. So click on resident and click update. There we go. Now let's go back to and find Beck's iris information. Let's click on that. All right, so we're going to ignore that customized security for now because we're going to fix that later. But what needs to happen is all this information needs to be filled in. And this is something that, you have to go through each of your residents to make sure it is filled in. The IRP has to be filled in. You need to have their medical school information. If they are in a medical school, if they went to a medical school outside of the United States, then they need to have their ECFMG date in there. And that date has to be between the time they graduated and the time they started their residency. So that date has to be in there as well. So you just need to make sure that all of this information is populated here for each of your residents. Okay?
So he's got
Questions
everything.
on this? Yeah, he does. Yeah. Scroll up to the top again. I'm just showing you where to fix this stuff. The other thing you need to do is click on the schedule tab. So the other thing that the software looks at is their schedule, the block schedule. And in the block schedule there, if you scroll back up to the top again, there, well, not, you don't really have to, but notice it has the listing of the rotation that they are on, and then the last column is it's the primary column. So they have to have a check mark there and have that listed as primary in order to get reimbursement for that rotation. Now, vacation, you're not going to get reimbursement for somebody that's on vacation, so that's why that's not checked as primary. Away is not checked as primary either. But all of the other rotations need to be checked as primary. If they're not, you're not going to get reimbursement for that.
What if it's in the future? Should we be checking that, or should we be telling Paula it needs to be checked?
That's up to you. If you want to do it yourself or you want to delegate this job to somebody, then you can delegate it.
I mean, it's something that we can do without messing anything up for her.
Yes. Yeah. And the way you would handle that is if you scroll up to the top and you see like this one here, that occupational health urgent care, click on manage rotations up at the top. And that takes you right to his schedule.
It's not really working.
No, click on manage rotations again. Oh, there it goes. So this is where you can edit a rotation. So if we go down to that one that was for 412 to 425, as an example.
Yep. Just click on it.
Check on the checkbox, and then go up to the top of those checkboxes and click edit. Above all the checkboxes, there's that little edit button. Yep. It's thinking. And then from here, see where it says yeah, you would check that and then you would click save. It should be down at the bottom. There you go. Okay, so that's how you edit those. Now, let me show you, I want to show you where these are because this is where you have to fix them. But let me show you a quick way to check all of this. All right, so you don't have to scroll through each person individually unless you want to. Some people just want to do it that way. Scroll up to the top and then click on administration.
Okay.
And click on dashboard right underneath administration. Okay. Go down to where it says scheduling, that scheduling box, and just click right on that box. All right. So what this is going to give you, this will give you some information as to where there's any gaps in a block schedule, meaning either they're not marked as primary, or B, that there's an actual gap where, maybe they're scheduled for the first rotation from 7:1 to 7:15. And then the next rotation listed maybe is 7:31. Well, there's a gap in their schedule. It could be because of vacation or not, but this is where you can double check and you can look at these specific people and these figure out what these gaps are. Yep, you can go right to edit schedule. And it will show you that schedule and you can check to see where there's a gap.
I wish I could get this go-to meeting out of the way because it's just in my way.
Can you hold onto it, click it, drag it, and push it down to the bottom?
No.
Or are there little arrows that are pointing out or in? Up in the top left of it?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
Those are minimized.
Well, there
when
we
you
go.
click on those, does it minimize it? There you
Yeah.
go. Okay. So this is where you're going to look for schedule gaps.
Okay, I found one.
Yeah. So you'll have to go through each of these, or like I said, Julie, this is, if you want to delegate this for them to go through, all they have to do is click on that dashboard and go through the list and then adjust those and fix
Yeah,
them.
that would be good for the coordinators to do, Julie.
Yes, I agree.
I'll
I
let
agree.
you do it.
Yes,
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll just leave this one.
Yeah. All right. So that's where you can check your schedules. The other quick way to check your IRIS information in your personnel record, go back to that administration and then dashboard again. And then over next to scheduling is your personnel panel. All right, so this is a listing here. So there's required data, then there's that IRIS information listing, that second line down underneath there. It says underneath there, you want to click on the family medicine little arrow. Keep going. Go
Here?
down one more. No, the next one down.
Oh, here?
Yeah, because this one's under IRIS information. So this is where you can check to see any IRIS information that is missing. And so it looks like here you have two people that have some missing data. So their ECFMG information or dates are missing. So that's one way you can check that. Okay.
What's ECFMG?
That
That's
is their foreign certificate. So if they went to medical school outside of the United States, they will have this foreign medical school certificate, and you need to put in a date for that. The date needs to fall between the end when they graduated from medical school and when they started their residency. Foreign medical school certificate, that's what that is. We're needed for IRIS. Basically, their USMLE pass date, their text, okay? Questions about that? Okay. So the next thing we need to look at is setting up a fiscal year. So let's scroll back up to the top and click on Finance. And click on Other Configurations underneath Setup. And this is where you're going to add your fiscal year. So you want to create a fiscal year for each of your providers. It looks like you have one that's already created for you for Sacred Heart for 2020, 2021, and also for the unclaimed Eau Claire. Okay.
Okay.
So in order to set this up, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you how you do this. It's very simple. The one for, like I said, for Sacred Heart 2020-21 is already set up. So let's go to, on that line over there on the far right is the details. That's kind of like an edit button. So click on the details button. So to create your fiscal year, you would give it a name like they already have. You would choose your provider. And then you would have the start date and end date for that particular fiscal year. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to choose what programs this will be for.
Okay. Looks like it's already selected.
Yeah, you want to choose you probably want to choose all programs. And what we're going to do, those other ones that are listed, those are the ones that we have to archive. So the two that are most important are already listed there for you. You would then want to select, what resident or fellow status types, which is already chosen as well. If you click on that 6 selected, it shows you which ones are actually listed there, which is right underneath your picker box. It says 6 selected. It'll give you a listing instead of having to scroll. All right. And then after that, all you have to do is click save, and it's already been set, so we really don't have to click save, but that's really how easy it would be to set up a fiscal year. Okay.
Joseph, if we don't see St. Joseph's in here, does that mean they don't use it?
St. Joseph's would be something new, because they haven't,
Okay.
yeah, that's a new hospital for them this year,
Oh, okay,
because they're
okay,
trying to set the cap for it.
okay,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense then.
And the unclaimed are all the others, the unbillable, the CMS rotations.
I would assume so, yes.
Okay,
You know what, you might want to get in touch with Randy
yep,
and find out what his mindset was when he was setting these up, especially the unclaimed. I understand the Sacred Heart piece, but you want to find out what from him, what, you know, he meant by unclaimed,
mm-hmm,
okay?
yep.
Yeah. Any other questions about setting up fiscal year? Okay, the last part of this is the rotation definitions. So there's all those tabs there kind of at the top. The first tab underneath fiscal year says rotation definitions. Okay, this is where you're going to define each rotation. So click on that rotation definitions tab. It's right underneath the word fiscal years in white on the top left. Go above there. There you go. Awesome. So, like I said, this is where you define each definition, basically which provider can claim time in each rotation. So, you want to click all providers, obviously. You want to choose all rotations. And then for the departments, you want to just click on family medicine. And then go ahead and click refresh rotation list. All right. So these are a list of all of your your rotation definitions. Some of them have already been set up for you, but you want to make sure that these are all correct. So let's go ahead for the first one that's listed there is addiction medicine. Notice that it's kind of split into two there, but let's check the details of this one. So go ahead and click details over there on the far right for addiction medicine. All right, and so they've already set up this rotation definition. Then you want to go ahead and click edit so we can take a look at this, and I want to show you what the behind the scenes on this looks like. So anytime you are creating one of these, there are some steps that you need to take or things you need to populate. So the first question it's going to ask you if you're creating a new rotation definition is, you know, what is the IRIS protocol? And percentage is usually what people use. So you would want to make sure that radio button is checked. Work takes place in how many locations? Well, in the case for this one, it's listed as 2. Okay, so because they've split this one out. And then underneath there is where your provider is listed. Okay, so basically who gets the money. So Sacred Heart Hospital is going to get 50. Well, this one's kind of divided up. Sacred Heart Hospital is listed as a provider. Also, this unclaimed Eau Claire is listed as a provider as well. And notice it's split up between 2 training locations. One is at Eau Claire and the other one is at St. Joseph Hospital. So it's split up 50-50.
So what Randy has there is unclaimed Eau Claire. That means Eau Claire Sacred Heart Hospital is not claiming that for CMS dollars. We would have to set up St. Joseph's Hospital in this system and then have St. Joseph's
Yes.
Hospital clicked to claim that time.
Yes. Yep, you got it. All right. So that part is, you fill that information out here. The next panel there says, will assignments be used for this? Okay, so that's if you're using assignment schedules. You know, if you're not using them, that's okay. If you are using them, then you would just click that drop down and choose the appropriate one.
What does that mean? What's that question asking?
So a lot of times, you know, assignment schedules is specific as to where your residents are rotating. Like maybe they're rotating, especially with family medicine. Maybe one of the rotations is in cardiology, but what are they doing daily? Maybe they're, you know, at one institution one day and they're at another institution another day. You know, who's going to claim that resident? Who's claiming the rotation? So a lot of times they can, you can use Iris to pull in information from the assignment schedule as opposed to the block schedule. In this case, with you guys, the way this has been set up, they're not using the assignment schedule to pull in that information. They're only using the block schedule.
Yes, okay,
So
correct.
that's where that pulls in.
All right, thank you.
Right?
Yep.
Yep. The next panel underneath there is to whom will this configuration apply? And usually, typical is you would choose all status types, all PGY levels, and all programs. That's just the normal setup for that. And then underneath there it says, what are the effective dates of this configuration? Most people check that as valid indefinitely because it's not going to change. And then how long is a typical day for this configuration? I encourage people to put a time in there if in the future you decide to use assignment schedules. Right now that 9 hours doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of there. But if you are using assignment schedules in the future, that information is important. All right. And then all you would have to do once you fill this information out is then you would save and return. But obviously it's been put in there, and you don't need to save it. But that's really all you have to do is to create your rotation definitions, just filling out this information. Questions?
Again, something that the coordinator can do.
Yes. Yes. You got it. All right. So what you guys need to do between now and our next call is I'm going to, well, let's talk about what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get a hold of Paula and have her change your settings for you, Julie, so that you can do some archiving. The next thing you're going to have to do is check your personnel, make sure all of those people, all the IRIS information is correct. Also check the schedules for any gaps. Make sure those are all set up and in place. You also need to, if you have any additional providers or sponsors that you need to add, make sure you add those in there as well, and get the provider numbers for those. What else do we need to have you do? These rotation definitions, I would want you to go through each of those and make sure those are set up correctly. I know, Joseph, you said something about the way this is set up. You felt that, once you get St. Joseph in there, and if you need to provide a cost report for St. Joseph, you want to make sure that you adjust those rotation definitions to reflect that. Also, to get in touch with, who was the other gentleman that set these up?
Randy.
Yeah. Get in touch with him and find out what his what his mindset or whatever he was doing with that unclaimed. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Question, maybe.
But it's all, yes, go ahead.
Maybe you don't know the answer to this. If St. Joseph's is a critical access hospital, rural critical access hospitals don't get a CMS cap. They get Medicare plus 1%. in terms of reimbursement
Okay.
for taking a resident.
Uh-huh.
That's probably beyond this discussion. Like, do they get
Mm.
included or don't they get included as a sponsor?
I would have to find out for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would have to check with that one.
Randy might know that too.
That or CMS might know the answer to that too as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts or questions about how to get this set up so far?
Not right now, but if you have a source to get
Okay.
that feedback, I'd welcome it.
Yeah. Let me check with the team. I have a couple IRIS experts, as I like to call them, who know a little bit more about the whole system. Like I said, I know where to set all this up. Doesn't necessarily mean that I know everything about CMS and finance and all that stuff, but I know how to use the software. So, but let me check with them and see what they know, and check with my team who works with, CMS often, so they may have an answer for you with regards to that.
Very
If
good.
not, I can get you a resource that will provide you with an answer, okay?
Thank you.
Sure. So what I'm going to have you guys do, go ahead and get, all of your ducks in a row and everything. And then, Julie, if you want, reach out to me in our ticket and let me know when you're ready to schedule your next training call. And then once, we do that, we'll talk about, once you have everything set up, we'll talk about generating the packages. The other thing too that I recommend for you guys as well, and it's helpful, it's even more thorough than what I've given you. I've kind of given you this overview of how to do this. There is an article in the knowledge base. So if you go into help up in the top right-hand corner, and click on help in the knowledge base, there is an IRIS handbook that
Mhm.
gives you everything that I just went over, and even further explanation to some things as well. So I recommend that you download that and read it. So just know that that's available for you too, and it's highly recommended. All right.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna have to sign
You're
off.
welcome.
I have a 10 o'clock meeting I need to get to, so thank you.
Sounds good. You're welcome, Joseph. Take care.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.